Yeah, so hello. So this is the part number one of the test that you sent to me. It's about setting a user interface to allow the user to make a multiple choice like this, to set a choice like ATH or any other token like this. Here I'm using three example to showcase. So basically I am using a React and I choose to use a drop down menu, and as you can see here, yes, so there is a label that is indicating the user to choose a token, and when he will select he will look at the menu, he will see the one to select here, and after it's there is a print a message that is giving him the confidence that okay, this is the token that you choose based on what he chose here, right? So now the application is developed using React, and yeah, so as you can see, the name of the application is Test. So a way I use to create a React application is by using the nps keyword and in the command line after installing the React itself. So I created that application, and it have some pre-built structure. As we can see here right now, the application have some folder pre-built, which is helpful when we want to speed up the development, right? So you can just look at them also here. But what interested me really is yeah, to make this work, right? And how to do that is just to look at this file, which is the main file of the app, which is a JavaScript file actually. So first thing first, I'm going to import React because that's the one I'm going to use here. And now React. Now this whole thing that I want to do here is managed by something in React called functional component. Functional component actually are very useful when we want to develop high level user interactive application. So uh, we are just going to create a functional component here in React, and that functional component is going to do the job for us, right? It's the job is allow the user to select, to add, just like any token he wants to select, just like this. So how to create it is just like a function, but a constant function, and the name of the function should reflect the task. So actually now we are going to create a function that is going to handle the selection of the token. So I will just make a token selector here, and now the thing is this function I need to make it work like this in React, to set it up like this. Once this function is created, it have to return something, and that thing is in React a GSS code, which is similar to HTML also. Okay, so it's basically what we want to see in the user interface side, and already here we can see that we want a menu with some drop down value. Okay, so we want the menu that is going to contain a form, and that form, how do we create it in HTML is by using a select tag, and that select tag should contain different options, right? So I can also want the user to see a message that is confirming him that I selected actually something that he wanted to select. So just you select ATH, you should see selected token is ATH. So both of them should be like maybe encapsulated into one. So I'm going to use just like, let's say we create a div container here. This div container, let's just create it. It's going to contain everything. It's going to contain the form. Okay, so now the form, we know already that it's going to be a select, just like in HTML with an ID. So the ID is going to be something that we will put here. And inside the form we are going to create also different options, so it can be selectable here. So these are the option tag. So this there is an initial option that have to be an empty selection, right? So but basically we will create option. This is already there. Okay, so basically we will create option, and option will have a value. Okay, and yeah, so that's how it's going to work, and those value will have something initial one out. Yeah, but let's not just put anything here yet, just we know that we will create different option here. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. Let me just modify this. What is, close this one. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is that this functional component that we create here, it should actually handle the whole process, right? And the way to do that is going to change a state. It's going to change state because the user is just going to change the selection here, right? So whenever the user change the selection from ATH to the DAE, for example, it's going to change state. So we need actually a state variable, and a way to create a state variable here in React is to use also this keyword constant to make it a constant variable. And this variable, we need to give it a name, which is going to be, for example, selected token, reflect well what it's doing. And the way to create a state variable is to just use the function use state. Okay, and we can set up this variable here. Now that we are using the function state, we need also to make sure that we importing it from somewhere, right? So this, where is the library React, we wanted to import this function use state from React. Okay, so now the value of the function, this function, the value of this variable, I'm sorry, it's have to be empty at the beginning, because there is no way we are going to launch the app at the first step and then there is already some selection in the variable, the state variable. So it's only have to come from the user, right? So this is why we need to set up this variable state as empty at the beginning. So just to not get lost, step number one, make it comment here. We need to create a functional component. Okay, this functional component is created here. And step number two, also comment here, we need a state variable with initial value as empty, nothing. Okay, so now this is how I'm doing this. I'm just putting just empty quotes to state that the initial value of the variable should be just empty, just like here. Now what I need, what else I need to do is we need something as another function that will help us to handle the event that is coming from the user side, because every time the user will be like changing the state here, right, the event here, so it's going to send some message here, right, and this message is like what we call the event. This event is where we are going to collect the state of the variable from. So it will be updating this variable. It will be updated the state of the variable, but to do that, actually we need something called a setter, because this is a variable. In order to get updated, it needs something called a setter, and this setter we can give it its name, set select token. So it's going to be used together. We ties up this together with the variable. Okay, and now whenever this is called, this function is a function that will help to select. When it's called, it will help to set, sorry, it's help to set the value of the state variable. So where do we call this function? We need to call it from somewhere, and we need to provide it an input, and that input is coming from the user interface level, like whenever the user is sending an event. So we need to listen this event. So the way to listen this event is to create a function that will handle that event and update this status, this state of that variable. So that is our third step. Create a function that will update the state when the user change the selection. Okay, that is what we want to do. So now this function will be also a constant function. This function will also be a constant function, and the name of the function is depend on the task. So handle selection token is looks fine. Handle selection, handles select token is going to handle that event. It's going to handle something, so it will take some inputs. So we create that function the same way as the other one. I'm just going to comment to put this in, and yeah, so what we need to do is to call these setters. This setter, we give him some input, and that input is coming from the user interface side, and the only thing that is coming from here is that event. This event is the object that we have to listen to and to extract the value. Okay, so I'm extracting the value from this object, and this value is what I'm going to use to set this variable actually. So basically we can even print something. So console log is used to print, to debug what is happening there is in the log. So selected token that is going to look at the same object, which is the event dot target dot value. Okay, and yeah, so that is what we have here, right? So this, let me just check once what we have here. I'm just curious why it's, yeah, so this is better. We're using this console log to actually get to debug anything that. So basically I'm getting, is this working? I don't. Okay, so fine. So once we have done that, basically this is supposed to print out yeah, so the object, the value of what is being selected here, so that we make sure that we are affecting, we are putting into the state variable what the user has selected exactly. So it will display, okay, selected token, and it will trigger this event. It will collect back the information that is there in the event. Okay, so yeah, this is what we're doing here. It's okay. So now that we have that, what we need to do is the last step. This last step is the step number 4, and the step number 4, it have to deal with the return, which have to be the GSS code, S standing for the XML. Similar, very similar to HTML, but not actually HTML. So now what we will do is that I already said a container that will contain the form itself. The form need to have an ID. This ID can just be select token, but to just orient the user to know what he's doing, because here you can see that I have some label here, right? This label is related to this form actually, and this form contains different options. How do we match this label with the form? First we need to create the label. So a way to create the label is just like here, same. Let's create a label here. You can create it by using this label, and that label is for HTML. Is we look for HTML4. How do we match actually the label with the form? Because we can have different form, right? We can have a lot of form, but we can also create different label. How do we actually match the label with the form? We will use just the ID that is provided here. So this HTML4 is just used to set up, yeah, whenever we find we have the same, it means that this label is actually for that form, that drop down form. So it's like I miswrite this. It's okay. So whenever it will match the label with actually the form, and it will notice that this label is actually for this form. And the objective is just to provide a description of what it's being done there. So choose a token. If there was nothing, the user may be okay, he can understand, but still it's helpful because it's provided description here that we need to choose a label. So actually what we will do is we need to create to provide that description to the user, like okay, choose something, okay, choose double O, choose a token, okay. So the user knows that okay, this is a label, this is describing to me, choose a token from this form, actually because the ID is matching with the HTML4 of this label, so he knows exactly what he can do. Now that we have created this, we need to finalize the select. This select actually already have an ID, but what we need to make sure about is that what is being in the selected in the state variable is exactly what the user have selected from the user interface. So we need to add a value to this, and this value is just going to be the selected token, which is the state variable. Okay, so it will just make sure that the user is selecting exactly what is being added to the selected token. So apart from this, there is some pre-built event like a change that we can use to tell this form that whenever you want to change the value, okay, you have to use this function handle select token. You have to refer to this function to handle the change that you are going to make in the user interface regarding the selection. Okay, so now this is one way to do, and yeah, so now this select will end here, but because inside the select we're going to have many options, okay, as I described here, we're going to have different options inside the select. I'm sorry, I think I miswrite this. It should be just like this, because this one is for the option, it's not finished. This is the initial option that I'm writing, and this first option, this initial option, it have to have no value, right? Because if you look at again the result here, it should be disabled. When we launch the application, it should be disabled. Then when there is no selection, it should tell the user, please select a token here. Okay, so the value should be nothing. Okay, and yeah, disable. And yeah, so now please select one token. Okay, so we can handle like this, and then we can close the option here. That's the first option that we have, but it's the first. We need to create more. For example, ATH can be selected, no longer be disabled. Whenever we select one, it should reflect just like this. Just like this, we can make it DAI. Another token. We can add as much as we want. It's going to be added this way. So here also I'm adding USDC and USDC, correct? Okay, yeah, so that's the way we add. Okay, so all this is now the form is created here using the select tag and the option tag. The option tag will allow us to see what is here, the option, and the select will create just the form here. Now you know there is something here that is printing out, okay, what is being selected. So that's the last step here. We have something like, okay, so this have to close it somewhere, please, like this. But just because I want this message printing out and the form together to be encapsulated into a container, and put both of them into the IV container here. Of course, I can provide a name for this. I can give a class name for this container to recognize if I want to do more modification in CSS later. For example, I can give it an ID here. But the most important thing is that I want now to just check in case I have any value there in the selected token in the state variable, then I need to create a paragraph just like here to tell, okay, this is a paragraph, and inside just I will say, okay, the selected token is, and what I need to do is I will encapsulate this value, which is this state value, the state variable here inside, and close the paragraph here. Yeah, so once this is done, it means that it should work. But in order to work, I have to export now I also have to export. So basically this, I need to put something like this here and this here, and I need also to export my functional component. Otherwise I cannot use it in other place more than this. Like to use it in other part of the application, we really need to export it. Okay, so that's what we're doing here. And yeah, just by checking, it's expecting something. Is it expecting something here? I'm just checking. Yeah, just checking again. It's like, of course this have to be equal to something. Yeah, and this is correct. This is correct again. This is correct. So basically we have done with this, and this is how we can now test. We just need to save this, and npm start. We'll just start the application. So he should refresh this localhost actually. if it's work, we should see it from here, right? So let's see. Let's see if that is working. So everything is correct, right? So I'm just checking how. So that's the logic that I'm following to um, we can use Streamlight to develop those menu, but it's React will add more flexibility. Streamlight is very simple to develop just by adding markdown menu. It's just one line code there, but I feel like these face application have some high level of interactivity with the user, so it's need to be customized. So I'm using React. Hopefully it will work. It's running this. Okay, it's calling this function, which is not a real function. Real component name must that we. Yes, yes. When we are using this, yeah, we have some problem here because okay, this is where we creating our functional component, but in React user functional component have to be started with up case later, I think. So that's, let me save it again. So if, yeah, that's working now. I can choose ATH, I can see what is there inside. It will work. Now this is the basic form, yeah, of the app. Now what I want, if I want to add more, make it more nice, I can still import, because here I have from the same directory the CSS. This is like the HTML. Of course, it's not, it's JavaScript, but it's like the HTML, the body of the app here, right? So what I can do is just I can import this app dot CSS. I can import this app dot CSS, and if when I import this, let's say we want it to, I can open this, I can just open this and update everything that we have. Basically, I noticed that here here we have a class ID which name is app. Let me just put dot app. I can make this CSS, let's say font family have to be Arial, for example. Let's use something like, okay, so Arial sans serif, for example. Okay, yeah, like this. Text align to make it center, because right now it's just like here. Okay, and also maybe the margin top, just to make it a little bit down. I will put some 50 or 40. Now let me just update this, save this to see. If I'm going to have something, some modification here. Okay, yeah, so I still, but now also I have in the form, I can, for the form also we can do something, because here we have the select, which is there. We can also make maybe setting the padding to 10 pixels. Now this margin also can be reviewed to, let's say, 20, or maybe 18. No, let's say 20. And let's put the font size. Let's put the font size to 16 pixels. And okay, let's see, do we have any modification? Okay, so it's getting. Now what we can do is also the label, because we have created one label, right? So that label, we can put something like the font, maybe the font weight. The label, we can make it bold. Okay, let's save it and run this. Okay, I'm not seeing the change here, but maybe by running again the is compared. Okay, maybe I will run it again, then I will see how the. Now I also make the paragraph, right? So paragraph have the font size. I can just set the font size to 16 or 18 or something that I like. Let's see. And maybe the color also. Color, I don't know much code. It have to be checked online, but at least I know one. Maybe like, let's, yeah, okay. So I can set it to this color. Let's see. App.css is, I don't know if it is, it will work or not. If it's working, this is app.css. It's have to come in from here. Okay, so I'm saving again this. It will compile everything. Okay, now it's more nice because we can select and have the value that we want. So this is how I can add multiple token